like whispers in the deep dark night.
Welcome to the AI Riff, where we cut through the noise and break down the top AI stories of the week with real talk and real relevance. No hype, no fluff, just a vendor-agnostic take on what's actually shaping your world today. Whether you're in tech, lending, or just trying to make sense of the headlines, we're here to separate the wheat from the chaff and the facts from the fiction. Now let's get this started with your hosts, Mario Diabenedetto, Rob Katz, and me, Kyle Myers. We hope you enjoy this episode of the AI Riff.
After a long hiatus, we're back for episode 23.
I think it is 23.
Sounds right.
Yeah.
23. A prime number, I believe.
Okay, now you're out of my... I was told there'd be no math. I was told there'd be no math. Yeah.
Let me ask rolling real fast if 23 is a prime number.
Yeah. I think it might be.
Lots to go through. Obviously, a ton going on in the AI world, and I think no better place to start than the news we were talking about just offline about how basically all web content is dead. Right, that AI has killed the content that's out on the web, and I actually took it a different way than the way the article went. But it's interesting for people who have made a living off of websites, SEO, driving traffic, and all of that, right? And now there's this concept that it's dead, and if you're getting leads off the internet, I bet you're studying it's not really very dead. But the premise of this article was that there's so much garbage being fed out through AI that it's almost not even consumable anymore, right? It's just, we've said it before, slop, right?
Yeah,
and I don't know what somebody's supposed to do in that world.
I don't know, Rob. What do you think?
Well, I want to jump in on what you said, that if you're a company that's used to getting leads off the internet, you may not think that it's dead. But the reality of it is how did you get the leads off the internet? You got the leads by providing content that matters to your prospects. Your prospects find your content and want to learn more and want to reach out to you and see you as being valuable. So the challenge that you're facing is, and what this article, there was an article in Business Insider that came out from the founder, one of the co-founders of Reddit, that basically said more than half of all the new content being generated on the internet is being generated through AI bot. And whether that's a bot that's doing it or it's a human being that's putting in a prompt and then copying and pasting the output and putting it in, but the content is being written by AI. And we all know that 15% of that content is hallucinating still. Mm-hmm. Maybe the number's dropping a little bit, but it's still filled with hallucinations. We've talked about in prior episodes that people don't proofread the stuff that's coming out, and they're not internalizing it and understanding it. They're throwing it out there. And so if you're a company that's trying to attract leads by providing really valuable content, whether you still have human authors or you're leveraging AI, but still then putting a human behind it to internalize it and understand it and challenge it and make sure that it's accurate and stuff like that, you are competing with the slop that is out there. And so that's part one of what's killing the internet. Coming back to your other point, Mario, the part two of it is SEO, right? You go search on Google and you don't get Google results anymore. You get Gemini summaries, you get Perplexity summaries. People are using ChatGPT more than they're using Google now to search stuff. So the drive to get somebody to click on a link to get to your website to get to the answer is what's dying. So that's, I spoke at a conference a year and a half ago and put up a slide of a gravestone that said internet RIP, right? Like it's dead as we know it. And my position was this very point, that search engines are no longer search engines driving traffic to your site. This article didn't even talk about this. This article was talking about how the content is just so thick with AI. And, it's not all slop. Some of it's good, but there's so much content going out on the internet now because it's so easy to generate content and put it out there that we're all competing with the noise of what's out there.
Well, yeah. and I stand by the thought that there's more people wanting to put content out than there are people wanting to consume. Like, it's really hard to have somebody's AI content cut through and get attention, because there's all that noise out there, right? Everything is putting just a ton of stuff out there, so it makes it even harder. It's like anything, I guess, on social media, that somehow something gets attention and goes viral. But that's really the only way your stuff's going to get seen, right? Is if somehow you go viral.
Yeah, and it's not that that's everyone's intent is to go viral. It's really about the intent of putting quality out there. Not that AI can't put quality out there, but as Rob pointed to, there's hallucinations, and actually, I would argue some of the content providers out there have their own hallucinations that they could be putting out there as far as content. They may have a slightly either uninformed opinion that develops and they post it out there on the internet, the same way as AI could hallucinate about what you said and thinking you meant it this way, or thinking the documents read this way, and it takes it to the next extrapolated level, and it has nothing to do with what you started with. So I I think I wonder what the human hallucination level is for content and for you know, like not just documentation, not just artifacts, but conversations, content in the sense of podcasts and TV shows and content that's provided to entertain people. I wonder how much of that, even though it's real, is hallucinated and is partly slop. Do you think it's 15%? Do you think it's 30%? I mean, how
So,
how much is used for manipulation already?
I've seen some human generated content that's just flat wrong, right?
Yes.
So yeah.
so
I mean, but to the CIA's point, right? You can manipulate people with data and language, and so, and I'm not going to put on the tin hat yet, but if you have those kind of issues going on with content, then you don't know. You say you don't trust AI because there's 15% hallucination. Well, who's to say there's not that kind of manipulation going on with human provided content?
Oh, there
That
certainly is in
yeah.
some cases.
So I think that's that's one of my comments I wanted to make, because I just thought that's not it's not a reason to say it's dead yet, but you're definitely correct that the search engine optimizations, the companies that try to do that, are going away. I don't think you can effectively do it anymore, or at least show where your value is when you're being presented as a source for Gemini, or I just don't know where, coupled with a bunch of others. I guess you could optimize up to where Gemini uses your content sooner rather than someone else, but you're 2 or 3 clicks away, and it's not like you're um, uh, in a situation where you're clicking right to the person's website, and then also lead providers. Those leads, I'm sorry, but the mortgage industry, we still get leads. They still come in, and I guess it's just, was the internet ever supposed to be a marketing tool, or did we adapt it to be a marketing tool? Was the internet
it was
supposed to
monetized.
be a communications and data exchange portal? Isn't that what it was for?
So listen, I think that's a whole episode unto itself, Kyle, because
Hey.
the whole idea of monetization of AI, right? And there's absolutely people trying to monetize AI in its current form, but we've talked about how, to Rob's point, it's killing search, right? So it is I was going to name this episode AI Miss-ruption instead of disruption, right? It's like it's destroying revenue, it's destroying leads, it's just it's ruining existing patterns. That's part of the disruption, but it's doing it in such a way that it's not clear what follows next, right?
Mm-hmm.
What does how it, somebody goes on your website, somebody goes on a website, that website wants to sell that fact that the person's searching for that as a lead to other people who say, I like somebody who's doing that, whatever. There's 5 million flavors of that. How does that happen with AI? Did AI get to do all the work? It just says, "Hey, somebody asked me a question. I'm going to, by the way, pop up an ad next to this to show them, ABC Mortgage because they
Yeah.
were asking about stuff."
But how do you, when you get a phone call and it says I'm from Bank of America and there's someone been using your card and whatever, what do? You look to the back of your card, you find the phone number, and you call Bank of America yourself and say, "Hey, I heard there was a fraudulent claim on my account." And they say, "Oh no, that's someone scamming trying to get your data." Okay, thank you, and you hang up.
Well,
Well,
that's
isn't
not
that
what
the,
I do. I just give my social security number.
well?
I'm an
I know,
idiot. I guess I should do what you're recommending that I do. No, I'm
and
kidding.
by the way, Rob, yeah, I did get that new Porsche.
That's what that charge was.
Oh, see? Um, so, but then you look at it with AI and you're saying, okay, well, if you're doing marketing and it's pitching out a website that may not be exactly what you wanted, or it's being serving up what it thinks is the best thing for you, isn't that kind of the same thing? It's like, I'm not really getting to the service I wanted. I'm getting pitched the service that maybe paid to be presented. So I'm not so sure that the ad revenue is gone yet. I mean, until Gemini says we don't we don't take anyone who paid any more or less to present them. I mean, I was convinced Google Maps took me around the city by stores that donated or gave money to marketing to Google so that I'd drive by their store. Of course, I was wearing a slight tin hat at that time. But if you look at what they're trying to do in Gemini and in what's the other in X X's
Anthropic
and
and
yeah,
XAI.
they're they're kind of doing the same thing. They're presenting website content, but they're just not doing it direct. You're getting your answer without having to go in to the
Right.
site.
So,
So,
so, so yes, and so to layer that on top of Mario, what you were just saying before, and let's bring this back down to, hey, I'm a mortgage banker. Should I be putting money into doing content and stuff? So let's say yes. Let's say you want to keep blogging because it gets your name out there and all that other stuff. I'm going to guess that you got a marketing person who is going to ChatGPT and they're saying, "Hey, help me write this article about X." And ChatGPT is being trained on content that is out there by other people who have blogged or written articles on the same type of topic. And then your person is going to take that information, massage it to make it more human, and then post it. And guess what? As soon as you post it, it becomes part of what gets trained for the next one. So the next lender who's got a marketing person who goes to ChatGPT and says, "Hey, help me write an article," well, it's consuming content that was written by AI with your person's help, being manipulated by that person, putting it out there again. So this cycle of Mario, what made me think of that was you were talking about how there's so much content out there. Who's got the time to read it and go through it to figure out what's good? Well, the AI tools are out there reading it and pulling it together, maybe or maybe not making a judgment about is it good or not good. But
AI
it's this
doesn't
cycle
judge.
of AI is creating content that's being read by AI, that's creating content that's being read by AI, that's creating content. And I think that was the point of this guy, the founder of Reddit. That was his point. Like, there's so much content that's being generated by AI. Nobody knows if it's good or if it's bad.
So, and AI doesn't judge, right? It's math.
Yep.
And the math in its most basic form basically says the more prevalent something is, the more likely it is to show up in what it produces, right?
Yeah.
So Reddit is a good example, right? It can take active Reddit boards, and that gives it a really strong indicator of exactly how to talk about something because there's such active boards. There's a lot of conversation on the topic, and so it really has a lot to work with. You take something esoteric, like your point, Rob, like something esoteric that somebody puts something out, it's more likely to, nothing's going to shape AI like individually, but it is more likely to shape AI, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's it's it it would be really interesting if you could figure out like if there's somehow to get a metric on what's actually novel from a content perspective versus what is just a regurgitation with literally nothing new, or it's 98% not new, right?
You
It's
just need to count the number of M dashes in the content, and you know that came from AI.
that's the other thing. You got to train your thing to not put M dashes in there, and
So
and
so if,
the hard line breaks.
so effectively, Mario and Rob, what you're saying is if I wrote an agent that when I saw negative press about me, I have the AI agent write positive press things that are overwhelmingly on top of that so that the next generative AI content provider says, who's this guy, Kyle Myers? Oh, he's a philanthropic person with all this stuff. And it kind of pushes to the side and aggregates it all together and says, well, he had some assorted past a week ago, but now he's really a pillar of society.
We can go one better, Kyle. Your little AI agent can just create all new dummy accounts that all go and like your content, so that it looks like you have a million people who love you.
Yeah, the restaurant I don't own is Yelp rated really high.
Yeah, and one more point I want to make as we wrap things up is, Kyle, to your point about SEO and SEO being dead and so forth. So the new buzz, and it's not a real official term yet, is GEO, Generative AI Entity Optimization, Object-Based Indexing. So
That's too long.
GEO, and what it is, it's experts who are understanding how to structure the content on your website in a way that the models can consume them so that you turn out to be the source in the summarize at the top of Gemini and the top of Perplexity. They're summarizing
Mhm.
content from somewhere. Well, it structures your data so that you are more likely than not to be included in that summary data, to include that tiny little reference link back to your site.
Well, and I do want to just,
That's interesting.
in case somebody is really worried about the folks at Google that they might go poor and not be able to put food on their table. The word is, because they just released Gemini 3, their latest models. The word is that they already are, because Google already has its own ecosystem, Google Mail, Google Drive, like all the tools they're already embedded in. They apparently already have revenue compensation to deal with their loss of search revenue. Like they've already
Well,
got it laid out how they're going to over
So they
time
don't care.
displace it. So yeah, they're not going to not eat because the search results are not coming back.
They're just going to have to drink brown bottled beer versus green bottled beer. So anyway,
So on that wavelength, I just want to throw out something cool I was doing with AI. That
drinking
is,
beer.
it, no, I did though. That's a separate. No, we're not going down. Um, and it goes down a similar road. So I was reading an article. They talked about blah 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 yada yada. They talked about Open Router. Open Router is open source, and it is basically a multi-purpose AI. So you can do it to code, you can do it to write, you can do it to ask questions, you can do whatever you want, and it puts all the other models behind it, and it bakes them off. It actually federates out your question to all of them, brings it back, and then has something actually put them back against one another so that they basically measure one another, and then it has something to bring that back and actually consolidate it into your answer. Pretty
That's
cool.
awesome.
Yeah.
what terrifies me about that is the energy cost.
So I have something very positive for you.
Okay.
I have the graph, and if you ask me, I will pull it up, although it might be tricky. Um, that the amount of energy, not the percent, the amount of actual energy in the first 3 quarters of this year generated by wind, solar, alternative sources exceeded the growth rate of energy demand.
That is fantastic news.
It's a crazy
Say that
thought.
one more time. Say that one more time.
Total volume of energy produced
Mm-hmm.
by wind, solar, alternative type fuel sources exceeded the incremental extra demand in energy. Right, we're in this zone where, especially because
Okay.
of AI,
Okay.
for all these reasons,
So
like energy demand everywhere is just off the
right.
charts. Right,
Right.
we are actually in those areas producing more new energy than we are consuming.
Very cool.
Right. Okay. So is that a moment in time comparison, and is that sustainable? That it's going to, as we grow, is it sustainable to put up, like, there's a point where, and I know we're getting a little off topic and we can end anytime, but battery consumption, wind, sorry, not battery. Batteries are what you store it in. Wind and solar and those kind of energy producing channels they they can produce up to a certain amount only based on your solar farm. Like I just drove out through Highway 10 back towards Anaheim, and huge solar farms being put in. And they're obviously the sun is free, but the panels aren't, and they pay for themselves and they give you a lot of energy. I get it. It is adding to our grid. It's adding to our use or our ability to consume energy. But at what point is it reach a cap? Like, is it the same as fossil fuels? There's a cap there too. Is it the same as nuclear? Is there a cap there too? Which one is really pushing on
You
that?
can't take good news, can you?
No,
It's-
I think it is great news.
good
Actually,
Kyle.
it helps me understand that all the efforts and the my only big beef about the windmills, I don't like looking at them. So, but if that's producing something that's offsetting AI and the production of new technologies and the energy demands that we have, well, then at least that makes it a little more palatable. And
So
I can,
you know how you don't like to look at windmills?
yeah.
I don't like to look at my electricity bill.
So I'm going to say we were actually planning a whole podcast that talked about a move that a major company is making about reducing costs for building out data centers. So we can pick that up in that podcast if that's
There you
cool
go.
with you guys, and we'll hop on that then.
But good. And then I can talk about 3 Mile Island. Okay. You laugh, but
I was there.
okay, good for you. Well, on that note, I'm Kyle Myers,
I'm Rob Katz.
And I'm still Mario Di Benedetto.
and this has been the AI Riff.
Wires hum like whispers in the deep dark night. Shadows dancing strange under neon light. Digits spinning fast like a gambler's hand. The clock chimes change, it's the new command. Oh, the future calls with a voice so clear. A melody of progress in every ear. No turning back, the wheels in motion. A tide of cold like the endless ocean. Binary prophets riding fading streams. Data flows like rivers fueling all our dreams. Simple or savvy, it's all the same path. Under skies of innovation, we redraw the map. Oh, the future calls with a voice so clear. A melody of progress in every ear. No turning back, the wheels in motion. A tide of cold like the endless ocean. Set the rhythm to the beat of change we sing. Every click and hum a key that rings. A revolution, quiet, but it's vast. Building empires where echoes of futures cast. Oh, the future calls with a voice so clear. A melody of progress in every ear. No turning back, the wheels in motion. A tide of cold like the endless ocean.